Welcome back to the Coach's Hour. You're here with myself, Hym, and my co-host is Jewade Graham. So we're diving into another episode today, and we're talking about something that hits very close to home for us, which is client fuck-ups. We're taking a deep dive into some of our biggest coaching mistakes and what we've learned from them. I'm sure many of you can relate to at least some of these, or maybe you have many clients that also live rent-free in your head for life. So before we get into it, we want to give a big shout out to everyone who's been tuning in. We've seen our listenership growing, and it's amazing to know that you guys are getting lots of value from these episodes. But let's be honest, we don't know what you're thinking unless you leave us some feedback. So right now, take a second, scroll down, leave us a review, drop a comment, and engage with us. We'd love to hear more from you. So with that out of the way, let's get into today's episode. Do you want to start with a story? So, yeah, we came up with this title for this podcast based on your post,
yes,
which I thought was fantastic in terms of just, I guess, relatability without, as always, without crying in the camera. But I thought it was really nice. And, I related to it myself, and I was thinking, shit, what would I have done in that instance?
Cool.
Take it away, man.
So before, because I want to put some parameters on. So like what I thought about is, and you don't have to do exactly the same as what I do. So like what went wrong, what did I learn, and what would I potentially do differently, or what do I do differently now, because these are real life scenarios, and all the stories that I will share have changed my coaching practice. So I'll share how it's changed it. So the first one, I'll mention the one, and I'll go into a little bit more detail, the one that I put on Instagram. And this was a client photo shoot last year. And was he ready? He wasn't ready. So he wasn't ready. But there was a number of factors what made him not ready. And in terms of what went wrong, near enough everything. So the time frame, the timeline was actually okay. From the beginning, we had enough time. And
when did he start with you?
I can't remember the actual dates. Like because I don't want to put a name or identity to it, because it's probably sore for him as well. But we gave ourselves enough time, probably I'd say 20-week prep, it wouldn't have been 20, about 20-week prep, maybe 20-week prep. That's normally what we do. And it was only really the second half that started to go a little bit off-keist, because normally I don't book shoots. Like it's 20-week prep, won't book a shoot until we know we're going to be ready. So the first fuck up was, okay, book a photographer. Sent the list over of photographers that I normally use. Oh, don't worry, I've got my own. Okay, cool.
Trust ya.
Let that slide. And no shade on the photographer, because he was a videographer, which meant photography. And again, this is my learning as well, because I didn't understand. You can see what I'm like with tech. I thought photography, videography, okay, it'll be cool. No, a videographer is different to a photographer.
I mean, you can take screenshots.
Basically. No, not throwing shade. Like it was a different setup. So like straight away, that's one variable that I like to control. Gone. Okay, cool. Some nights out leading up to.
But let's go back for a second to that. Actually, I got a question. Why did you book a videographer? Like you want to do a photo shoot, right? Why are you booking?
So I think he was having, so his photo shoot was aligned with a client shoot. Okay. And I think his
own, was it? Okay.
His own clients. And it was a client day. It's like a community day as well. So I think it was to save cost but in hindsight, photographer to photographer, have a separate videographer. If you can't afford to do both, either have a client day, not a photo shoot, or not your own photo shoot as well, or have a videographer. So that's one of my learnings. So that was one thing. And the videographer was he was affordable. And it doesn't mean you have to look for someone that's expensive, but affordability normally means, I always say you get what you pay for. Whether I'm right or wrong, that's irrelevant. That's my experience.
Sometimes you get some gems.
That's what I mean. Like so my experience isn't always right, but in this scenario, maybe so. So couple of nights out, on the run up. Not the best.
How many weeks out are we talking?
Probably about, and it wasn't like every single week. So it was like maybe like 10 weeks out, 12 weeks out. So it was still enough time where we're making making enough progress. We're on course.
Is it like hardcore nights out?
It wasn't hardcore nights out, not hardcore. But like it wasn't
couple beers kind of thing.
Yes, and it wasn't at like, so I normally look at rates of loss. So we reverse engineer, like to get where we want to get to, will normally equal 0.7 a kilo a week or something like that, depending on how lean someone is. So the rate we were started to lose started stalling a bit.
Slowing down, yeah.
And that's when I'm having conversations of, okay, we need to pull our finger out a little bit. We need to pull our finger out. Now, my learning was not we need to pull our finger out. We do this or we cancel or move the shoot. It's a client day, so we probably can't move it. So we do this or I'm going to have to. And that's the thing, like I wasn't willing to step away. And I think that's potentially like my failure. I didn't want to fail, but ultimately I did anyway. And
did
then,
did you put any pressure to see, like, obviously you can't step away, but did you say anything like you may end up looking like, yeah, okay.
And
so there was some,
yeah.
you know.
So, and like with that, I am very aware of language. Like even now I'm considering my words. So I didn't say you have to do this, but I say like, the only thing I want you to say to me at the end of this is I gave everything. If you can say that, it doesn't matter what you look like. That's everything that you've got. And it was like, are you happy with the rate we're going? And it was all yes, yes, yes. In hindsight, it was no, because when we got there, it was like, I'm not happy. We'll get there. So it was not happy. So there was a couple of nights out. And then the peak week. So again, we weren't lean enough for a proper peak week towards the end of it.
Did you tell him that?
Yes. Yeah. And then the shoot was on a weekend. And on the Tuesday, I'm going to a carnival for 2 days.
What carnival was on Tuesday?
It was an overnight thing. It was a Tuesday. I don't even know what it was, or some event. I think it was a carnival, some event. And it was like, at first, so this was like, was it planned? It wasn't planned, but it gave me enough notice at first to be like, again, I strongly recommend you don't. I can't tell you what to do, but this is ridiculous. If you go there, just be aware that we can't control the rest of the week. Yeah, it's okay. I won't be drinking. It's all right. Monday evening, I'll only be having 1 or 2 rum and cokes. Okay. When he comes back, my digestion's off. I'm bloated. I look bloated. I don't like how I look. Straight away, like my whole, like the process for me is over. Like there's nothing I can do now, kind of thing. And that's frustrating. And it got to...
But did he say that he had alcohol?
He had a couple of drinks. Okay. And he had
some... Did he give you the whole details? Like...
Probably not. I don't know. And like the weight spike wasn't drastic, but he wasn't staying at home, which meant we couldn't track food.
You don't even know what his weight was.
We don't know what... He took scales, he took body weight scales with him, but when you move scales to a different floor, you may as well not have scales with you. So like there were little things like that, and then so it wasn't like drastically weight went up, but for someone like me, like I'm very, this is the stats, right? Yeah. I'm like, this is what we do, and that's gone, and I was like, losing control of this now, or lost control of this. Day before the shoot, or 2 days before it would have been, I think, I've had an argument with my missus, some argument with someone. I'm not doing the shoot. And my learning was I should have said, okay, cancel it. But for me, it was like even though it's not been the best, especially this last week. And alongside this as well, like it wasn't like he was being naive. He was taking ownership of, I understand that I chose to do this. I understand that I could have done this better. I understand that this could have been a little bit different. So like I was like, okay, you've dieted for 17 weeks now. It's 2 days. You understand you won't look the best, but just take some pictures, like it will still be decent, kind of thing. Okay, cool. So I talked him round. I didn't bother book a tanner. So again, part of my process is like, I've got certain checkpoints, this many weeks out, we book a photographer. This many weeks out, we start posing. This many weeks out, we choose our shots. This many weeks out, or this many days out, we get a tan. I didn't book a tan. So I'm going to have to get someone, family member, partner, whoever it was, to do my tan for me. I've got experience of that. That does not work. But there's nothing we can do at 2 days out with that. Okay, cool. What shots do you want? The gym that I'm doing it in is only a studio gym, which means we've only got dumbbells and a squat rack. Okay. So we can't get some of the shots that I know, because I send again photographers and examples of what their work is. There are some shots that I normally go to, if people are lean enough, that will look quite good. So we're not lean enough. We don't have a tan. We haven't had a proper peak week. And the equipment available to us is limited as well.
And you got a videographer.
We got a videographer. Recipe for fuck off.
How's he running his own client shoot with that?
I think, to be fair,
or was
as well,
it just more like
no,
a day,
and
day?
This is another topic we're going to discuss in another episode about levels of leanness. So, like, I think for a community day, you've done really well. And this is where, like, I'm taking, like, I don't have any feelings towards, like, he's not a bad guy or anything else. This is just my experience of that. So his experience might be different, but in terms of the client day, that went really well. Clients loved it because I was in control of his clients. He was. And he was there for his clients. But that also meant while we're there, because he had a client day, the day of the shoot, when we spoke previously in another episode about when you're at a bodybuilding show, the time for feedback. So if you want someone to eat some food at a certain point, you're there in person or you're messaging them. Because he had his client day, I couldn't message. So anticipating that, I went very, very conservative with food and filling up on the day. Because I knew we weren't ready in general, minimal food, very least we'll go in as lean as possible. I went there in person. When I got there, I was like, it's flat. Like, but there's nothing I can do now. And it was like, and that was my feedback for me, because he gave me feedback and he said, I wish I would have been more supported on a day. And I agree. I should have supported him more on a day. But then my hands were tied. No, not more support, sorry, more food. So more guidance around nutrition. That's what he said. And I completely agree with that. However, if I know you're dealing with these people, you won't be at your phone. I can't say, take pictures, put this in, take pictures, like how I normally do it. I'm going to go completely conservative and say, we'll just go as lean as possible. Bearing in mind, you're not ready anyway. I didn't say that part to him, but in my head, I'm like, bearing in mind, you're not ready anyway. We can't go wrong with being leaner. Until I got there and I was like, okay, it's flat. And it was way too late to start pumping him up.
Yeah.
So like that combined made the whole experience. I didn't post it before and after.
Yeah.
It's probably the only one.
I'm not a huge fan of that. Like where you have, like, I don't know why people do it. It's where you have your own client day and you're doing a shoot with your clients. I get it, but the shoot really is for you and it's your day. Like, it's your experience. Like, you've just gone through 25, 30, however many weeks dieting, right? Have your day.
Yeah. And
just like your clients are having their day. Don't jump in with them on the shoot, because you're either not going to be focused on yourself or you're not going to be focused on them.
So I've seen it from afar and I didn't have any understanding. I didn't understand because I've never done it. So I was like, I didn't consider the variables that were at play. But having been through that again, like, as I said, I lost control of the coaching process. And it was like, okay, that will never happen to me again. I would rather walk away 2 weeks out and say, sorry, not even sorry, because before, like, if you're walking away 2 weeks out, you must have conversations way before then to say, like, this ship is sinking. The ship doesn't sink at 2 weeks out. The ship sinks at 8 weeks out when shit's slipping there. So my learning was, like, first of all, be more supportive on that. Like, I did take that on board, but there was reasons why I wasn't. And maybe next time just be more honest with why I wasn't doing certain things because of this, and this. And then the second thing is just when you start seeing it slip like 6-8 weeks out, you have to take control. And like, I'm speaking about a photo shoot, it links into general population clients. Like,
it's so difficult, isn't it?
When you see someone stop tracking, you have to pull it up straight away. And the thing is, if they want the outcome, we need to let them know in no uncertain terms what you are doing will not get that outcome.
Yeah, because it's almost like, I'd say 95% of the time, maybe even more. Once that ship starts to slip, like, you know, it goes quick.
There you
it's
go.
like, it's
And
like,
once you've lost it,
Yeah.
you can't get it back. It's
Yeah.
very like, and I think, I wouldn't even say like your client loses respect for you, 'cause I don't think it's like that. But once that coach-client relationship has gone and like they don't, I'm not sure whether they put you on a pedestal. I don't know what it is, but you can feel when it's gone.
yeah.
And it's like,
It's just-
I can't tell this person to be adherent anymore because they are not going to listen.
And it just gets worse and worse.
And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And then this is where like before, I would have let it get worse and worse and worse, and my client would leave like this client did and not be happy with the result and outcome. Whereas now, I would rather
have that conversation.
We need to either get on board or we are not going to be, because like, and I think it's a little bit different with general population clients, because with a photo shoot, it's very specific. Like, we need to get on board right now. With a gen pop client, I would still be having the conversations, and I probably wouldn't sack them or walk away, but I would be reminding them at every interval, like, are you sure you still want this?
Yeah, because you've got two options.
Yeah, exactly.
You can continue to diet, or you're moving out into something else now.
And like, for me, not a lot, but some clients have left me like that aren't doing photo shoots since then, because and I'd rather that happen, because I always check in. Like, I won't let the relationship coast. Like, I'm very friendly with my clients. I know a lot about their lives. They know a lot about my life, but I will always make sure, like, you're paying me to achieve X. The second we veer away from X, I'm going to be on, yeah, are you sure X is what you still want? If you say no, I will let you coast for a little bit, because you are aware that what we're doing doesn't get you to X. But if you still tell me that X is what you want, I have to have a difficult conversation. And sometimes that difficult conversation will be 4 weeks of difficult conversations, and a client will turn up to a call knowing that I'm going to be on them, and they're not prepared for that. But they're not prepared for change if that's the case, because like, I'm not ranting and raving, I'm not shouting, I'm just holding a mirror up. And sometimes, even for myself, sometimes like, we're not ready to see that mirror. And if that is the case, then I'm probably not the coach for you at this time. So that was my big learning from that process and that lesson from that.
Yeah, I think very difficult. It's that once it slips,
It's gone.
It's gone, man. And then the only thing you can do is say bye-bye.
Literally, like, and that, like, after that, it was done. It was done. Like,
I don't know what it is or how to really describe it. But yeah, once
you can tell.
It's just like, it just goes boom, and it's like, it's gone.
Yeah. So what was do you want to share one of your stories?
Yeah. So I have a client where, so what happened was, they actually very long-term thinking, and they had a coach before, didn't quite get into shape for their like photo shoot. So then I did a whole timeline with them, like, to say, okay, look, this is roughly where you're probably going to need to get to in terms of body weight. This is the length of prep that you're going to go. He was like in between shoots, so had another shoot coming up in the following year. I can't remember the timeline. Maybe it was like 6 months, a bit longer maybe. And I did well in terms of off-season to say, look, you're going to need to diet again. You can't afford to, in 6 months' time, you can't afford to gain loads of weight right now. So yes, you're in a bulk right now, but realistically, like, how much weight are you really gaining? So the timeline was great. And it was more so where things went sour was, as we were dieting, didn't get into the condition they wanted to, right? I think it's always the case, right? You don't get into the condition that you want, and then it's like contest prep, people want to go separate ways. But I think where the big issue was when, when the client tells you, like, their struggles, I'm feeling the fatigue, I'm feeling the hunger, my body weight's not going down. And for me, obviously being there myself, and he was on fairly low calories, I would say. like I had that understanding because I've been there. I've been in that scenario. So for me, it was like, I think we've kind of got two different directions. I can keep drilling him and pushing him further, or I can go, look, okay, maybe we do need to take a little bit of a break. Like, this is not scheduled, this is not planned. But I think I went down the route of long-term thinking with this individual. Like, I could kill him now, or, you know, let's live to fight another day, you know, and how much is really a week or whatever it's going to do. And I think in hindsight, what I would say is that wasn't really my choice to make, right? Even though he was giving me all this feedback in terms of the height, maybe it was just him telling me that he felt this way without, you know.
Did you have the conversation with him?
I think I gave him, I can't really remember to the detail, but I think it was definitely, I made that decision for him, right? To say, look, this is the direction I think you should go.
Because that's happened to me before.
Yeah.
And now I do what I think you're going to say that you do, which is I give them the choice.
Yeah.
And I give them the options.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really, I relate to that.
Because, yeah, and thinking back, I think maybe he was just projecting and saying, look, I'm hungry, as we all do, right? But I didn't necessarily actually have to do anything. It was just like, cool.
Like consoling him, like, you know, just,
it's
you're
hard.
hungry. It's going to be hard. Yeah, it's going to be hungry. Just one more week.
But this is where you're at, and we've got to push harder, you know, and push him harder. Or maybe what I did was correct. I don't know. But I think it's, the decision that I would have made would have been now to, you know, given the options, right? Like you said, like, you could continue to push, you know, or if you don't enjoy this feeling, then, you know, take yourself out of the diet break. And then I think the second, like, the diets that we said this last time, the shoots are always the best as the second ones, right? So I'm thinking, like, okay, you've got more time next time, you know, give even more time, right? So you've given them this amount of time, but we've not allowed enough time for a diet break, right? Maybe there's a few weeks of stalling. There's a few weeks where progress isn't quite there. And maybe actually that wasn't a sign that it wasn't water retention, all those things, right? It's actually, you're not in a deficit. You actually need to push harder, which seems crazy because he was on low calories, but, you know, you just don't really know exactly
was he adherent?
It's really difficult to say, you know, when people give you that vibe that they are. So I still believe that he was, and he is, but you never really know, right?
Yeah, because I learned a lesson very early on in my career, and I'm so glad I learned it. It was like, this was before I think I was in a gym, but this was in a boxing gym. So like a guy just come for sessions, and I was just on the pads and whatnot. And he wanted to lose weight, and he was clearly overweight. And a grown man, older than me, was in tears telling me he doesn't understand why he's not lost weight. I believed him, 100%. I'm up at night thinking, how am I failing this guy? What am I doing? What can we do? Is he broken? Is his metabolism fucked? Not a clue what to do. He's left. Didn't get his result clearly because I don't know what I'm doing. It must have been a year or two later. I've seen it, bumped into him. I'm a lot more experienced now. And he's past that. Had a conversation with him. Yeah, mate, I was just eating shit at night. And I looked at him.
And lost sleep over that.
I looked at him and I says, thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you just get the closed loop.
You just get closure, innit?
But like that, yeah, because like literally, it lives with you. You're like, how did I not? He was crying in front of me, like physically crying. And I was like, it just taught me a lesson. It's always adherence. 99.9% of times, it is adherence.
It's mad, you know.
And I was like, since then, I've challenged people. And there's one in recent memory. There's been more than one, but there's one in recent memory where it has actually been hormonal. And all the other times, it doesn't come out straight away. It might take a couple of weeks, but eventually we get to, I've not been, whether consciously or subconsciously, I've not been adhering.
I think the hardest one is when it's subconscious, right? When you don't know. Like when they don't know, they're like, oh, I'm fucking adherent. But then you're like, but and then they're telling you everything that they eat, and they make it like it's so believable, and it is because they genuinely believe that, right? But then it's actually something that they're, and I think that's what makes it so difficult, is that the numbers don't necessarily check out, and there's definitely are like the numbers, how north or south of those numbers you are, it's, you know, it depends on each person, right? Some people do genuinely need to go lower calories, so there's not, you can't completely eliminate that. But yeah, I think the hardest thing is knowing, like, because especially because it's so believable, because they genuinely think that, right?
So do you think in hindsight that this guy was adherent? Like, because you said we either need to go.
I mean, there is possibility that he isn't, but there's also, I would say, there's also equal possibility that maybe he genuinely does need to go lower in calories, right? There's room for him to drop that. And I wouldn't rule that out either. So I wouldn't say either or.
Because like I used to do, like, sounds a bit sad, like not even sad, but I used to test my clients. So like when they say, like, let's say it's 1,500 calories and we're not losing weight and I'm unsure whether it's adherence or not, I won't be like, oh, okay, then let's drop it by 50 or 100. I'll go 400.
Oh, okay.
We're on 1,000 calories. And the point is not to keep them on 1,000 calories. The point is it will just show if they are adherent or not. Because if someone's on 1,000 calories from 1,500, like let's say whatever it is, it's a 500 calorie drop, you are guaranteed to lose weight. And sometimes it was like, you're on 1,000 calories now and you still haven't lost weight.
It's not possible.
It's not, exactly. So either it's blood test, which costs 150 quid, or let's have a conversation about what's actually happening. And 9 times out of 10, it's, okay, then we're going to have a conversation about what's actually happening. There was one time someone took a blood test, however much money it was, results came back. Before the results were sent over, my bloods are going to be normal. I've been eating shit. Willingly spent whatever it was on a blood test.
Blood came back fat.
And that wasn't my client. That was something I witnessed. So I'm going to be completely like, that was something I was like, because the conversation was, to give you context, the conversation was someone come to me for advice. I said adherence. They'd already lost a lot of weight. And the coach was like, nope, I believe that they've already lost, I think, 15, 20 kilos, however much it was. I believe they're adherent. I believe they're on track. It must be something else. So I said, it's adherence. This is the way that I would test that adherence. It's either adherence or blood test. The client chose blood test. And then the day before, the blood test come back, before the results were transferred over to the coach, my bloods are going to be fine. You don't even need to look at them. It's adherence. And I was, when you just I fucking knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. I'm the best.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, like, my experience tells me it's 99% adherence. So to finish that story, actually, because like you said, he didn't get the result he wanted.
Yeah, and I think, so basically at that point, I think we diet break for like 2 weeks or a week or something like that. And we're getting reintroduced into the diet, right? And by that point, obviously, you're running. You're already behind.
So this is a photo shoot?
Yeah, it's a photo shoot. So you're already behind, right? In terms of fat loss. And then you take a diet break, you're further behind. And then you recommence, but you're still kind of in the same place, right? Yes, you've eaten a little bit more, you feel maybe a touch better. But then, yeah, at that point, it was like, I'm going to finish this shoot on my own. So I got sacked.
What, half?
I wouldn't say half, I would say pretty much 80% of the way there.
Yeah. I
got sacked. And then he carried on pushing all the way until the shoot at the end. So
was he experienced enough to be able to, I'm going to assume he didn't need a peak if he's not.
Yeah, he didn't peak. I mean, the way that I coach, I always talk about things anyway later. So he's done shoots before, and the main thing was towards the end, it was like, you're behind and you need to push hard, right? So that's what he did to get, he still did his shoot.
Did he look okay?
I think he looked okay, but not how he wanted to look. So there was a clear like look that he wanted, right? Like fucking inside out, like peeled, right? And it was, yeah, you knew that he wasn't probably going to get there on this kind of timeline.
So how has that changed your coaching practice? Like, what do you do differently now?
I think in terms of definitely giving people the option, like to say, look, when there's a difficult decision to be made, I'm not making that decision. Like, you're going to make that decision, right? I'm going to tell you the pros, I'm going to tell you the cons, but you're ultimately going to make the decision in terms of where you want to go with it. I can give you some of my suggestions, but that person needs to take the autonomy to create that choice.
Because that's interesting. And the reason why I say it's interesting, because this is where coaching is very, very nuanced, and you have to like have an intuition for it as well, because I completely agree with what you're saying, and I do that a lot of the time.
But there are certain points.
There are certain times where I have to be forceful. Yeah. And I think like, as you were speaking, I was like, what would I do? Because I was like, what would I do? And I think the thing that I say to my clients very early on is, I need honesty. Because if you give me honesty, that will allow me to make the decision of what the best thing to do for you is. And I always say, I will take you to the edge as long as I know you're honest enough to tell me when that edge is, so we can pull back. And when I say the edge, that means like, if we need to do 1,000 calories, we will do that. I won't do that if you won't tell me where your edge is, because I can't trust that you won't fall off the edge, and I don't want to ruin your relationship with food, ruin your relationship with your body image, ruin anything else. So if I know you're running to the edge, I'll take you as close to there as I can, and that will mean we'll be very, very aggressive. And since I don't even know how I learned that conversation, because I must have made a mistake. Just like you said then, I must have made a mistake at some point that's made me think, I need to have that conversation, so that allows me the freedom to be like, we need to push. Because if that's not there, I would be like, because I agree, some people need that choice, but other people need to be told, I know it's tough, but you need to go. Because I'm that kind of person that just needs to be told. Like with my recent shoot with Ant, he doesn't even know this. So if he's listening, he'll probably know this for the first time. About 3 or 4 weeks out, in my head, I was done. I was in great condition. I don't need to do anything more. And every call I went on with him, I planned to just say, I'm all right now. And every call, I came away with more cardio, less food. And I did it. And it was like, but I understand, like, if he would have given me the choice, 100% I'm all right, I'm happy with my look, which I was. But it was his decision making to say, you need a little bit more. You've got a little bit more in the tank. I know it's tough. Keep going. And like, obviously you understand who I am. I've worked with him for a couple of years now, but that's what I needed, and the result was probably a couple % more than it would have been. But that was the nuance that he had of understanding me versus giving me the choice kind of thing. So your situation is very, very difficult. And I think the more experienced you get with working with so many people, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. I think it's difficult as well, when sometimes you've been through it, you know what it feels like, right? And it's hard not to put yourself in that instant, be like,
say, suck it up, man. Fucking hell, just do it.
There's an element of that, but then there's an element of like, yeah, like you said, I don't want to ruin you, and we can live to fight another day if it's really that painful.
It's a tightrope, isn't it? And
it's very, yeah.
And that's why I say I need to know that you'll tell me, because if I have to make the decision of,
you almost need a safe word.
Yeah. Pringles. Yeah. So if I need to make that decision, like, I'm never going to push and risk going over the edge, because the ramifications of damaging your relationship with food, damaging your relationship with your body isn't worth, to me and my integrity as a coach, isn't worth the little % we'll get. So like, you are right. Like, it's hard you can always be safe. And as a coach, we should always be safe if we're unsure of whether someone can handle going to the other side.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's tricky, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think timeline as well, just giving more time to the whole process, right? Not chilling at the start. Like, because usually I'm like, okay, we've got this amount of time, we can balance it. But it's like, actually, yeah, we do have this amount of time, but it's never a problem to go more aggressive at the start. Like, it's never bad, because you've got energy, you can take it. It's when you have to fucking sprint at the end, no one's going to like that. But if you make them sprint at the start, most people, they're there for it. You know, it's new, it's shiny. You know, they're ready for it. Push them then, and then you've got many weeks more that you can benefit from, right? So just keep remembering that.
Cool. How many more fuck-ups do you want to go through? Because
I got another one that I quite like.
Cool.
As well.
I'll do one more, then you do one more, then, and I'm trying to decide because I've got 3 written down. I'm trying to decide. To be fair, I'll go with the one. It's going to be another shoot one.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I've got a mentoring one, but I think I'll go with the shoot one because it links into time frames or timelines, and it was the first time that I learned about timelines and the importance of timelines.
Nice.
And this was my complete fuck off, and it was like my last example. I do take responsibility myself, of course I do, but I put a lot on my client. This one was 100% me. And I was fuming. So there's this guy, we booked a shooting, and I think we gave ourselves 20 weeks. And we needed probably 24 to 28 minimum.
Jeez. Yeah.
No, we needed 28, maybe 30. And if we're going to do that, it probably would have been a diet break at some point. And then
is this a coach?
No, this is Gen Pop. So mapping a journey. I'm a big fan of mapping a journey, reverse engineering. So we've done our shoot date before I think we was about 5 or 6 weeks in. We've done our shoot date from then. And in my head, if we achieve this rate of loss, it's going to be like 20 weeks, 20 kilos. Fucking hell. I've never had anyone lose 20 kilos and not be peeled. Like, it doesn't make sense. So we've got like 16 weeks in, and he's doing everything I ask, and I am pushing him. He's losing 1 kilo a week, and we're about 4 or 5 weeks out, and I've looked and I said, we're not going to be ready.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault.
And yeah, because he's been losing
a kilo a week.
So yeah, we're going to lose too.
Yeah. And some weeks it was more than 1 kilo. Like, I was flogging him, and he was jumping through hoops, and it's conversations. He was telling me he was knackered, and I knew he was. And I'm like,
you're doing well.
Yeah. And there was nothing more he could give, and there's nothing more I could take. And I'll never forget the conversation when I said, we're going to have to push this shoot back.
Oh, shit.
It's Zoom as well. I'd rather do it by voice note, because just sit, like, you know. Like,
his face drop.
I've felt it myself when my coach, my first shoot, took my avocado away. Like, something just breaks inside, and you just like, something broke inside. I'll never forget the look he gave me. I almost thought he'd call the shoot off. And I was like, I felt so bad. I said, you're going to have to call the photographer. And
that's the worst thing is that they have to do it because they're booking the shoot. It's not like it's your shoot.
You're going to have to call the photographer and tell him we need another 4 weeks. And I said that knowing that we need 6 to 8.
So you fucked up again.
He didn't have 6 to 8 left in him. He did not. And I felt so bad. So we've done the extra 4 weeks. We got the
Still
extra bit.
losing a kilo.
Yeah, we kept on that rate. Didn't have a peak week. And he looked very good. But as you said in your story, he had an image in his head that he wanted to achieve. And we did not get that. And I was, to this day, and he done, and like I say, he was amazing. The before and after was great. And he done amazing. But I let him down. And I apologise.
But that was, we laugh now, but that is you knowing now what you know, right? Because at the time, like you said, you just don't have an idea of what rate of loss is, right?
Yeah.
So you're just thinking, oh, everyone else says 16, 20 weeks, so it must be 16, 20 weeks. But it's like, yeah, fucking context.
You see these weeks just peeling off, and it's not even like nothing's changing. Things are changing. And it's like
why is it not faster?
Yeah,
you should be there.
Where are these abs?
Yeah.
And it's like, it was hard. And that the coaching in between the 4 weeks, because we've given ourselves 4 extra weeks knowing it's 6 to 8. And I didn't tell him it was 6 to 8 because I can't break his heart again.
It's hard to... 4 is easier to say than...
Yeah, because
hey, no, you need double the time.
He's been dieting for 20 weeks already, like 20 weeks already. He's been dieting. I'm like, how do I tell someone that after 20 weeks of dieting, we're going to put another 8 on? I can't do that. having been through the process myself as well, it's impossible I can do that. So I just had to, manage expectations and just keep plowing. And then we was just like, okay. And in the end, like that 4 weeks of coaching was torture for me because I knew I had to push. Yeah, I had to keep pushing him. And I knew that like, it's not his fault that he was giving me everything. And I was just like, it's touch and go.
He's a great client.
Yeah, he was a great client. And I apologized, like, and even afterwards, like when I had like a lot of experience, I went back because I still speak to him like on and off. And I said, listen, like it was a learning experience.
For free.
Now, I felt like, what do you do in that? It was horrible. It was horrible. Yeah. But like not in a bad sense because the result was still great. It was just that for me, it was a failure because I didn't get him to where he wanted to get to, even though it like anyone losing 20 kilos or whatever it was is an amazing result, regardless of whether you look, shoot lean or whatnot. But it was just because we set the parameters and I failed to deliver. And it like if he would have been off, I'd have been like, yeah, it's cool. We didn't get it because he was out drinking pints and whatever else. But because he was every single week doing exactly what needed to be done, I was like,
I did a long-term aggressive diet.
Yeah, it was crazy. But my learning from that was now I do not book shoots when, like I'll say 20 weeks, but we book shoots when we know you're 6 weeks out.
Oh yeah, I like that as well.
Yeah, so like...
when you're near enough already.
Yeah, so like I say 6 weeks out, we could do it in 4, but we'll give ourselves 6 kind of thing. And that was my big takeaway in terms of, and also managing your expectations. Like, yes, we'll aim for 20 weeks. It might be 16 if you take it to, because like, and again, like the rate of loss, it's good to have, but sometimes it's nonsense because I'll look at someone and think 20 weeks, but it just falls off them and it's 16 weeks. Look at someone, say 20 weeks and it's stubborn and it's 24. So we'll set the parameters and then be like, when you're 6 weeks out, we'll book the shoot then.
I think it's always easier as well to speed up a shoot than to pull it back. If you say to someone, hey man, you're ready, let's do it early. That's a great thing. But when you say like, hey man, we've got to delay it 4 weeks, when really he's got 8, it's like...
Yeah, it was emotional.
That's hard, man. But he's a great client, so...
He was
did
amazing.
He leave? Or did he have any complaints? No complaints?
He stayed on. And I think as well, like, because that was only my, 3rd or 4th photo shoot.
Okay, yeah.
So like he understood. And like I was completely honest, like when I said, listen, I've cocked up here, I've a bit of a fuck up here, like not in those words, but I was like, you are doing everything. And I was like, you are doing amazing. This is a me thing.
I wonder if you had spoken to him and said that before. But on that call where you said, look, I've cocked up here. I think you're probably going to need like a longer period of time. Just say, look, maybe we do a diet break now and then get yourself recover a bit, and then we go 16 weeks from now, like to be like...
This was a while ago, so I might have given an option, as you say that, and like that's what I mean. When something broke inside him, like I knew there was I just
had this vision of this guy.
There's no option.
This glass just shattering.
Yeah, like you just see this ping. There was no option to say like diet break and another 12 weeks. Like it was. 4 weeks was the most
you probably,
I could get.
You probably genuinely thought you probably could do it in 4 weeks at a time because you had no idea on rate of loss as well.
Yeah, nah. I knew it was a bit longer than 4, but I was thinking, like, and don't get me wrong.
Close.
We got close, but it wasn't what he wanted. So, yeah, that was my big
It's
learning.
funny how we used to do it, right? Like, I remember not knowing about rate of loss. And, yeah, like, if people... I think how I came across it, someone asked me, like, how do you know how long this guy's going to take to lose fat? And I was just like, I don't know. How do I?
I think it comes with experience. Like now, maybe not now, but when I was like the peak of when I was doing like transformations and seeing loads and loads and loads of people, I could roughly tell what body fat someone was.
I mean, everyone still falls within those parameters still, right? But you are going to get some guys that come in like 100 plus kilos and they need to get down to 60. And it's like, shit, that's 40 kilos. You ain't doing that in fucking 20 weeks. It's 2 kilos a week. Even at 70 kilos, that's too much, man.
Yeah. So that was...
that's a wild one.
Yeah, that was emotional. That was so... I'll pass the baton on to you so you can make me feel better about myself.
Mine's probably actually more recent. So this one is a contest prep athlete, actually. So yeah, there's no chance of moving timelines and things like that. Unless you can go for a different show. But he came to me actually wanting to do a show in 8 weeks' time from the point of the call. And I was like, I thought I made a good decision here to say, look, that's not going to fucking happen, right? I told him, like, look, if you want to do a show, you can still do a show, but it's going to be end of the year, like September time. That's
So
when the last few shows are.
So how much time would that put on from the 8 weeks?
Oh, that I think that was probably like, I want to say that was probably January, February time.
So the 8 weeks would have been Jan.
Yeah, so the 8 weeks would have, I don't know,
Or did he start in Jan and 8 would have been like March or April?
I think he was like a kind of like a March time starter, somewhere around that. And then he wanted to do a show very early on, and I kind of delayed it all the way. I said, look, you ain't getting ready until fucking September. Yeah. And even then, that's a tight push because we don't know. He's never got in shape before, right? Like in proper show condition, right? You've done a shoot. Even the shoot is like, I won't say confident shoot, but yeah. It wasn't really quite there. So I'm thinking, okay, you need at least 5 off from where your lowest was ever. And that's uncharted territory there. You've never been there. That's going to be different, right? So the timeline was okay. I thought he could still get there. What wasn't okay was the amount of holidays, weddings and things that was in between. So there was definitely, I think there was like 3 or 4. There's way like more than anticipated. He did all right, but then one of the biggest cock-ups was, this was a referral. So he used to work somewhere, and I knew some of his colleagues were my clients as well. So it was, he was non-adherent, but I never heard it from him.
Yeah.
I'd hear it from, like, he would maybe tell his colleagues, etc., and then they would tell me, and I'm like, okay, but like my thing was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna say I know from you. I'm just gonna like, until you tell me, then I got to coach with what's in front of me, right? Because I don't know, maybe that person's maybe not necessarily telling me the truth, or you don't know that either, right? And I think, yeah, obviously a series of non-adherence, that's gonna, the rate of loss is not quite there. So even when you're away at your wedding, yes, or these weddings or holidays, you're managing it well. You're not gaining tons of weight, but you're also not losing. But then outside of that, you're not adherent. So when you can push, so then that really pulls that timeline back, right? And to a point where I was just like, look, I kept saying, like, look, you're not going to be ready for your show. You're going to stand on stage and you.
How many weeks out was he started saying this? Like, did you say it? Like,
I'd say at the halfway point already.
You realise he's not going to be ready at the halfway point? Like,
not necessarily not going to be ready. There's still a chance that you're going to be ready.
So you have to put it in now.
Need to, I've already, like, you need to put in the work now. You cannot, like, afford to skip weeks, right? And I think, it got to about 3/4, maybe close to the end, like, I'd say 8-9 weeks out, I just said, look, I don't think there's still a possibility, but you're not going to be in the best shape ever. And then I think he just kind of like said he's not going to do the show. He's not going to do. He's going to pull out of that. So then eventually he kind of stopped the coaching. And I said to him, look, instead of, okay, you may not necessarily do this show, but you're still going to be in your leanest ever, right? You're still in the best condition that you've ever been in your life. Why don't you do a photo shoot? He's like, no, I don't want to do that. And when he stopped, a couple of weeks later, he did the fucking show. So he did another show, and then he did a photo shoot as well. So in my head, I was like,
did he get another coach? Do you know?
I don't think so. It was just more like a friend.
Oh, okay.
But it was a fact that, like, you can just say,
yeah,
like, I'm going to do a shoot, but I'm not,
Yeah.
That left a very sour.
Yeah, because it's hard as well. Like, when when the relationship's kind of broken down and they're trying to like deny it, and that even though it's not all your fault, like I always say, because like, when people say my client was shit, I won't ever say that. So I always take some accountability. But like when there's a lot of ownership they need to take as well, and they don't do that, it's like they quit coaching and they hold resentment against you because they didn't get their result they'll come for. And it's like, he wasn't adherent, but he's kind of blamed you a little bit by saying, I'm going to do a shoot anyway, but I don't trust you to get me there because I wasn't making progress, but I wasn't making progress because I wasn't adherent. But I'm not willing to admit that. That's difficult for that. Is that where you said like it's a bit frustrating kind of thing?
Yeah, I think what I would have done differently is probably hindsight is a great thing, right? But then I think in this scenario, I don't really like to do it, but it's probably just calling them out and being like, look, I know that you haven't been adherent, and like, why aren't you telling me this? Yeah.
Was it a coach?
It was a coach.
Cool. Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, even with coaches, to be fair, like, if someone would have told me, I would have probably been like a grass. Like, I wouldn't say who told me, but come on, mate.
But you're gonna know, right? Because you're gonna have a few people that you speak to. Yeah. That's the thing.
Because like a question that I ask is like, and I make it sound so like I'm stupid. So like I'm like, okay, we're on, let's say we're on 1,500 calories and 2 hours of cardio and 14,000 steps, and we're not losing weight.
But I think what was happening here was like he would have these big like overfeedings, right? And then like smash cardio or do certain things to get the weight down for like check, so then your average weight kind of, stay stagnant or, so look, the numbers are all over the place. So it's like some days like fucking high, some days are really low, and it's like, what the fuck's going on? And like me going through it, I've been there as well. And you just know, okay, that's a sign of, But then it's really hard to call somebody out when they haven't told you. Like they're kind of like, they're already in denial. So then I feel like what I felt like in that position was, if I now go and call this person out, they're going to retract even more.
Yeah. Well, I dumb, like, okay, we've got this and this, so expenditure and input, and we're not losing weight. In my experience, which is extensive now, you've got loads of experience, like that doesn't ever happen. So like, just help me understand, please. Like literally, I'm saying so like, I sound so stupid because I say it in that, like we've got, and I spell it out like, so if you say it like that, we're on 1,000 calories, we're doing 4 hours of cardio, 14K steps, and we're not losing weight.
Why?
Just help me, please, because like I ain't got a clue what's going on here. And it sounds like, you don't know what you're doing as a coach, but it's not that. It's just, if it sounds too good to be true, so if it sounds daft, it normally is daft. What I'm trying to say is, there's only the other option. You're not on 1,000 calories doing this. There's got to be something somewhere. Just help me understand, kind of thing.
I think a part of me was also like, I didn't want to put him in that position where you're making them go, because they're already non-adherent, right? So they're already struggling. So then if you push them there and they do a day like that and then they overeat even more, I didn't want to kind of but again, this is just my internal thinking as well. It doesn't necessarily mean that it would happen, but that was one of the reasons why I didn't go down that route as well.
Yeah, and I think like this is where I've learned, because I've had not that experience, but similar experiences where you like, and I've learned, and this is why I'm a lot more abrupt, even with like calling business mentors out. Like I've got to be the bad guy, and in coaching with my clients, sometimes like they won't always agree with what I've got to say. But I've got to say it, because if I don't, I'm doing you a disservice. Like, and my experiences now lead me, I'd rather someone go away thinking it's a bit harsh or a bit abrupt or is a bit to the point than feeling like, I didn't get my result because of him.
Because the outcome's still the same, right?
Exactly.
I'm going to fuck off anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I'd rather know that I've done everything in my power, whether they like it or not, to help them achieve what they want. And like, that might also mean, which has happened before, not taking someone on. Because like, if I think they've got like potential to overeat and lose a relationship with food and they want to do a photo shoot, I've told people I wouldn't necessarily do a photo shoot if I was you. And I've took them on coaching, and then like a couple of weeks in, I've confirmed that, and I'm like, okay, I don't really want to do a photo shoot, let's do. And they've left me, and I've saw they've gone and done a photo shoot with somebody else, and I wish them all the best. And to my knowledge, like there was a little bit, I think they handled it very well, but there's a little bit of a rebound afterwards. But for me, I didn't want to take the risk, because I think they pulled the rebound in, but I didn't want to take the risk of the rebound actually being a rebound / eating disorder. So like, I took that step back, and I was like, but so in my naivety, like previously, I probably would have took that client on and been like, oh yeah, I can manage him. I know what I'm doing. I can see the signs of when I probably couldn't. So
yeah, I think the worst thing was like that he'd end up doing a shoot and I, even despite all of this, I still got him into the best condition that he's ever been in, right? He just wasn't ready for the show.
Did you
Right.
did he acknowledge? Did either of you acknowledge when he done the shoot? Like, did you say like congratulations? Or did he say thank
He
you?
just posted a picture on his Instagram and I saw it and I was like, yeah, look fucking great.
Did you say thanks, coach?
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, whatever, kind of thing. But yeah, it is whatever, right? But it kind of like, it almost like, I say selfishly, it kind of denies you of a transformation, right? If that makes sense. But it's the fact that, I'm thinking about all these things, right? Of, whether or not, how much to push you, etc. and all those things. And then at the same time, it's like, come on, man, there needs to be some decency between the two. But I don't know. Yeah. It's a tricky one, right?
Yeah, cool. I think I could. It's going to sound bad. It sounds like I'm a shit coach. I could go on forever with all these fuck ups. But I think as well, like the important part of why we're sharing this is because, like for me, I wouldn't even call them fuck ups. Fuck ups is just like the catchy title. It's learning, because all the mistakes that I've made have made me the coach that I am today. Like I've learned from it. Like the guy that done 24 or 8 weeks in the end, that taught me to. We don't do a shoot for 6 weeks out. The guy that just had the fuck up then, that teaches me to take more control over the photographer, the space, the lighting. Like
you learn what rate of loss was.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and every time, so like my next client will get a better version of me. My next client after that will get an even better version of me because I learn from the good and also the bad. And I think that's the key takeaway from this is like, as coaches, whoever you're listening to this, like you will feel like some point as failures, but it's not a failure, it's a learning as long as you see it as a learning, because it would have been easy for me to like never take another photo shoot in my life because I fucked this person up. And it's not that, it's that just next time, just be a little bit more on the ball with timelines, with your learning. Is like, okay, next time I might need to have a difficult conversation a little bit earlier. It's not necessarily a bad thing. In a time it might feel bad because the client didn't get the result, but as long as you become a better coach from that, your next client, and then even that client might come back on and realize that you've actually, and also as well, for me, ownership of my mistakes. Like I completely had my hands up when I was in the wrong to my clients and said, okay, it's not the end of the world, but this is what I should have done or this is what I would have done. And that takes you a long way because your clients don't expect that you're superhuman. It's if you don't acknowledge that you've done a little bit of a fuck up here.
Yeah, and that's why I think the second shoot's always the best.
Yeah,
because you learn from the fuck ups, and they're more, they understand it as well. And they're like, okay, he's in my corner. I got to help him out, kind of thing. Yeah,
cool.
So yeah, that's a wrap for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and it gave you some insights into how we handle client fuck ups, and more importantly, how we learn from them. So coaching isn't always about the wins. It's also about the ones that live rent-free on our head. Yeah. So if you want to continue this conversation, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Gym with Him. And my co-host, Jewade, is at Jewade Graham Coach. Until next time, it's goodbye from me.
And see you later from me. And goodbye from me.